What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Victory Monday to you all. If you are celebrating on this Victory Monday, DK show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there. You got your Google devices, the app, the Sports Talk app, download that and take it on the go. And of course, the video streams are up and rolling on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Hopefully, you all had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. We got lots on the game plan here this morning, lots to catch up on. Packers obviously squeaking out by the skin of their teeth, the W over the Chicago Bears yesterday. 20 to 19, I think we could all agree. Wasn't pretty, anxiety filled, it's frustrating, but all that matters right now is the W, and the Packers picking up their first division win of the season, and to improve to 7-3 overall on the season. So just maybe 3 games away from 10, maybe 4, at least 4 get you into the postseason, depending on how the rest of this NFC kind of shakes out here. But I know we have lots to discuss with this game, so plenty of Packers talk throughout the morning here. You can start to hit us up if you'd like on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. But we'll break her down, recap and analyze and all that good stuff on a Victory Monday. Jordan Love just throwing 17 times, 13 of 17, 261, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, which was kind of a big interception there at the goal line. Josh Jacobs, 18 carries for 76 yards. Christian Watson, though, 4 catches, 150 yards, and I feel like every one of those catches were a big time catch there. And then no turnovers for the Packers defense, but of course the 1 interception from the Bears over there. So we'll hit this up. We'll talk about this game, as I said, coming up here in just a little bit. Badgers, both football and basketball. And we got lots to catch up on over there too. So Badger football, not maybe they were like, oh, going to pull off this upset against Oregon on Saturday nights, but no. Badgers falling short 16-13 against Oregon on Saturday night, which led to the Badgers last night, yesterday afternoon, officially firing their offensive coordinator, Phil Longo. Luke Fickell making that announcement yesterday afternoon that the Badgers will be moving on from their offensive coordinator for the rest of the season and, well, obviously for the future too. But Braden Locke, again, just 12 of 28 for 96 yards. Walker, 20 carries for 97 yards. If it wasn't just for a couple drives for Wisconsin's offense, I mean, wasn't a whole lot to write home about for this ball club. So the Badger football team making that move, and I think we would all agree too that this is a very, very, very important hire, whoever it's going to be for Luke Fickell. Might be a job saving. I mean, he's got to hit this one. He's got to nail this hire for whoever is going to be the next offensive coordinator. We've got a couple of names. We've got a few names we're going to kind of throw out there. I know when it comes to like college and offensive coordinators, not all the time. Sometimes we know some names and well, I know who that coach is or who that is. It's not kind of like the NFL in that. But we've Colton Bartholomew from the Wisconsin State Journal actually has a really good piece. You can check it out at Madison.com. He listed off a couple names over there too. So, but we'll hit that up. But at least it wasn't all negative for the Badgers. Badger hoops Friday night against Arizona, 9th-ranked Arizona. Badgers putting up Bo Ryan's name in the rafters and welcoming a lot of the members back. They were honoring the Final Four teams. And how do they do it? by defeating Arizona. I mean, those final four teams must be good luck when it goes up to Arizona. 103-88 to improve to 4-0. John Tonje, 41 points for the transfer portal gentleman. 41 points. If you didn't follow the first few games and didn't know too much about him, probably should know about him now. 21 of 22 from the charity stripe. Badger shot 48, a little over 48% from the field, 44.4% from three. Badgers did get heavily out-rebounded 52-28, but at least the shots were going down for the Badgers at that point. So, but what a big-time win Friday night for the Badger men's basketball team, and maybe putting the rest of college basketball, the rest of the college basketball world on a little bit of notice there. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll talk about that. I mean, even men's hockey going up against 18th ranked Penn State, picking up a sweep, 2 wins. So, I mean, there's lots going on here. I know we got RJ Cardinal coming up tomorrow to break everything down for the Badgers and that, but yeah, a lot going on here for Madison down in Buckyland over there. So, and I know too that volleyball, they picked up a win against UCLA, but a big one coming up on Wednesday going up against Minnesota. So we got some Badger chat coming at you. We'll throw that in there. I know the Bucks are going to be back in action tonight over here too, so we'll do some local sports roundup as well. Blue Gold Wise, men's soccer advancing to the Sweet 16, which they are going to be hosting too. So they're going to be hosting the next 2 rounds over at Simpson Field on Claremont Avenue over there. So Blue Gold men's soccer advancing. UW Stout football team getting selected to play in the Culver's Isthmus Bowl against Wheaton. Now that the regular season is in the books, we've got a couple of WIAC teams that are in the tournament, Platteville, La Crosse, and that, but Stout's going to be playing in the Isthmus Bowl coming up this Saturday against Wheaton. So we'll do some local sports roundup as well. Shout out to Owen Withy, 8-player football team, getting the state championship. We got Baldwin Woodville. We've got Rice Lake. We've got Edgar going out. Stratford's going to the state's title games for 11-player football as well. So we'll do some recapping with that too. Also, it is Monday, which means I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. What are your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying fill in the blanks today, okay? What do you got? You know the drill. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. What do you got for me? Good ones. Good ones get mentioned on the air. So hit me up with that text, 715-830-1912. So plenty to get to here this morning. We lead it off with a little Victory Monday, talking a little green and gold here this morning. Packers, again, squeaking by with a 20-19 victory over the Chicago Bears. Not a ton. I mean, when you look at it, at some of the numbers and that, it's like, yeah, man, Jordan Love only threw 17 times over there. Packers offense had the ball for just 23 and a half minutes. Chicago's offense had for a little over 36 minutes in the game. So, I mean, 366 total yards by the Packers. Bears had 391 total yards on offense. We knew that the Bears offense was probably going to do a few things different, and they did yesterday. But ultimately at the end, thanks to Carl Brooks's tip of his middle finger, he's able to deflect that ball and block the field goal, and the Packers improved to 7-3. As we said a little bit earlier, definitely wasn't pretty. Definitely wasn't a great game, not at all. But let's not, we can air some grievances about how they played in that, no doubt about it. But the bigger picture is here that they did pick up that W. So let's break it all down, shall we? We'll take our first break here and get things going on a Victory Monday. Nothing like Mondays are just better when it's Victory Monday. You know what I mean? Especially when it's Packers defeating a division rival like the Bears. Plenty to recap with this game. We'll get at it coming up on the leadoff. It is the week leading up to the opener, Hunters. Starting to kind of hit you. Maybe it's already hit you. But don't forget, if you got to get anything last minute, like some ammo or some ABO, some other accessories and such, go visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. Or maybe you're starting to think about some of those Christmas gifts, what to get. I've been doing it. I've been shopping a little online at tildengun.com. You can also stop in at their shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. And don't forget, if you do have any luck out in the field, send us those photos so we can put them up on the Tilden Gun photo board up at our website, sportstalk1051.com. Best of luck and be safe. Be safe, everybody out there, if you are hitting the woods. So, all right, let's get at it here this morning, shall we? Let's do it up. Let's do it up, baby. Talk a little Packers on this Victory Monday. 20-19 victory for the green and gold. We know how it went. We don't need to do the full-on recap, right? Packers escaping by the skin of their teeth thanks to a Carl Brooks blocking the field goal at the end there to secure a 20-19 victory over the Chicago Bears. Biggest picture here is that, they got that W. We know it was not pretty. It was not good. There was a lot of stuff going on with this game. But at this point in time, I'm not apologizing for a win, and nobody should be apologizing for a win at this point. With all that being said, there were definitely some issues though too, right? I mean, let's call a spade here. There was a few things with this thing. Maybe it was just me. I know it wasn't just me because I was talking to a couple people after the game and such, and during the game. I really, really felt like this was a game that I don't know if I want to. I almost felt like the Packers won in spite of some really poor coaching decisions, especially from Matt LaFleur. I almost felt like Green Bay escaped this one with some very poor play calls at certain points and just decisions overall in this game. I don't think it was one of the greatest performances from Matt LaFleur in terms of decision standpoints and even certain play calls. Again, we went into this game talking about one of the key matchups in this game was going to be the Packers' red zone offense, which has been atrocious this year, and they're going up against the number 1 ranked red zone defense. Now, when you look at it, Green Bay was able to put up 3 touchdowns. But there was also a couple times in the red zone where they had a turnover on downs and an interception. And some of the, turnover on downs, what it's like, what, it was kind of some confusing play calls. And this was a game, and there's been other games too where we've questioned some decisions from Matt LaFleur coaching, but this was a game that it really felt like there was a few times, whether it was some questionable timeouts or questionable challenge, like the challenge for Jordan Love to challenge if he was in the end zone or not. I mean, if you really thought you were going to struggle to get it in from 6 inches, I don't know. Maybe better to save that timeout just in case you need it for another game-winning drive or something like that. It just felt like this was a game where Matt LaFleur was not on his A game for a lot of it. So I almost felt like the team won in spite of some questionable decisions, play calls, and that sort of thing. And then, of course, you look at, Jordan Love with another bad interception, bad fundamentals, thrown off his back foot, air mailing Tucker Kraft on that throw. Wasn't all bad for Jordan Love, though. Made some good decisions. You could tell Jordan Love was more healthy in this game, using his legs, picking up first downs, scrambling, extending the pocket, stepping up into the pocket. You could tell he was probably the healthiest we have seen him since week 1. I mean, that looked a little bit more like a comfortable Jordan Love out there. Still, there was a couple throws too, not even an interception. There was a couple, especially I think it was like his first throw or in the first drive. It's like really tight coverage over the middle. There was a couple throws that just kind of made me like pucker up a little bit. Oh, what are you doing there, man? What are you doing there, man? And even like the bomb to Christian Watson, one of the bombs to Christian Watson, when he had Tucker Kraft wide open, and Jordan Love acknowledged it after the game too, that he had Tucker Kraft wide open. That probably was the better play, but thankfully Christian Watson was kind of in the zone yesterday, and big play Christian making those catches. That was the prototypical no, yes type of thing. But I got to imagine they're probably gonna be like, you know what, Tucker was pretty wide open over there too for a big gain. Maybe look at that. But and then defensively, you could tell, and Kenny Clark and I believe it was Xavier McKinney mentioned it after the game too, that they were a little surprised with how much the Bears were doing running with Caleb Williams, whether it was on read options and that sort of thing. And we knew, right? We knew that Chicago was going to probably do a few different things, few different wrinkles out there. And they got the ball out quick. I mean, it was short passing. It was snap, quarterback, throw. They were making quick passes, quick, kind of things that you would expect, at least at the beginning of the season, for a rookie quarterback, just to try to get into a groove, try to settle it down, try to gain some confidence. It was a quick passing game. And Caleb Williams ended up going 23 of 31 for 231. Also 9 rushes for 70 yards. So credit to Thomas Brown, the new offensive coordinator, and the Bears for getting Caleb Williams in a little bit of a rhythm and just kind of, trying to gain some confidence over there too. And that was a smart choice. Now I kind of question a little bit how if Green Bay truly wasn't prepared for Caleb Williams to be a little bit more mobile, or maybe for a quicker passing game, because you look at Detroit. We go back to that Detroit game. That's what Jared Goff and that offense did a lot. They did a lot with the short passing game and getting it out to their playmakers and really utilizing the middle of the field. It's like a question now that Jeff Hafley is going to have to figure out is, how do I prepare for, how do I prepare my defense for going up against offenses now that are going to want to employ a quicker passing game and, trying to get it out to the receivers, tight ends, backs, but a quicker passing. How do I prepare for this? How do I slow that down? How do I stop that? One would be, do you play a little press man covers? Do you play those corners up a little tighter? I don't know what's going on with Jaire Alexander. I know Ian Rappaport said after the, last night on social media that it's nothing serious, that he's okay. Just kind of going through the same stuff he's been going through. And my question is, well, what is he going through exactly? What's the issue with his knee? To get cleared and only play 10 snaps. I mean, what's the actual issue going on with that knee, for crying out loud? So, I mean, you obviously, if you're going to play press man and you're going to do that, you'd want your best corner out there in Jaire. But, when you look at San Francisco and Miami, I know San Francisco's reeling right now, but, they've got some offensive weapons. And in Miami, of course, we know with their speed, if they're looking at this with Packers defense, like, okay, maybe we start to employ, a little bit more of that quicker passing game, getting it out to our receivers quick. How does Jeff Hafley, how does the Packers defense respond to that? How are they able to do that? Quicker passing game neutralizes pass rushes quite a bit, but is it extra blitzing? Is it bringing pressure right away? I might have to be a mixture of that both. It might have to be, all right, you're going to have to put a little confidence. You're going to have to put a little bit more in your corners, a little bit more trust in your corners to play that press man, to play that aggressive coverage, and maybe you bring some extra blitzers here or there, especially since your front four has not consistently been winning their one-on-ones. Hasn't consistently been bringing pressure without extra, blitzes in that. So that's something Hafley's going to have to figure out. I mean, you look, Yeah, look at the next 3 weeks. I could easily see these next 3 offenses employing a shorter, quicker passing game to get the ball out to their playmakers. San Francisco, Miami, and Detroit again. Something that Hafley's gotta figure out. He's gotta figure this out. And, staying on the defensive side here, Quay Walker, man, I mean, I kudos to him for trying to be a leader. I don't know if anybody was watching on the tube and that and the shot of him trying to rile up his defense on the sideline and that. Quay Walker, there was a few plays yesterday where I'm like, what's going on, man? Especially on the one, was it fourth down when it looked like he just stopped instead of trying to sack Caleb Williams? I don't know, but then there was like a couple run plays where he was there. He met the runner. He was there. But the runner ended up getting positive yards. Whether it was 3, whether it was a couple, like on one of those touchdown runs. Quay Walker was there. His reaction was there. He got there. He used his athleticism. He used his speed. He got there. But he couldn't take down the ball carrier. I was watching the Chiefs and Bills game yesterday and seeing, guys like Leo Chanel out there. And it's like when they get one-on-one, that ball carrier goes down. Those watching those linebackers from like Kansas City and that, when they hit somebody, when they hit a ball carrier, that ball carrier is going down. When they meet them, they're going down. That runner ain't going forward. They're going straight down. And that's what I want from our linebacker who is going to be, playing middle linebacker or whatever. I want that linebacker to meet that ball carrier. When they meet that ball carrier, that guy ain't going anywhere. He ain't going anywhere after that. And there was a few times yesterday where I'm just like, Quay, like he got there, but it's just they can't get him down. Can't get him down right away, and that was, gotta tell you, that was frustrating a lot yesterday. I know it wasn't the only one. I know a lot of people on the socials were kind of grinding their gears about that too. Looking at the play snaps here, Edgerrin Cooper did get 71% of the snaps. Quay Walker still played 100%, 100% of the snaps. But Eric Wilson, a guy that I think we all think should be getting more snaps, more playing time, 13 snaps, 18% on defense. Eric Wilson needs to get more playing time. They got to get him on the field more. Got to get him on the field more. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this rotation in terms of edge rushers here, too. Gary had 64% of the snaps. Then Enoch Barry had 57. I was kind of curious to see how the rotation was going to go with no Preston Smith here. And then the next, you had Lucas Van Ness at 35. Just 35. But you had Cox out there. I know he had a couple of free runs, but there was a couple times, too, you could see his speed on display, not counting the open ones, not counting where he just came unblocked in that. He got 31% of the snaps, too, just three snaps behind Lucas Van Ness. So curious to see if he's going to get a little bit more opportunities going forward here, just to get some speed, just to get something, consistently off the edge here a little bit. And that's honestly, maybe that's what Quay Walker needs to go here too, is just being a guy that comes on the blitz or something, use that athleticism, use that speed over there, because I don't know, I want a thumper at a linebacker right now. And there was a couple times where, again, he was there, but he couldn't just take him down. So that was a little frustrating, no question about it. But, again, got the W. It wasn't the prettiest thing. It was kind of, this is another win too, where it just felt like we have not seen a how do I want to say this? We're 10 games in to the season, and, have we seen the best of the best yet? have we seen the best performance of Green Bay? Now, I think they've had, given circumstances, I look at like the Colts and Tennessee to an extent too. Given the circumstances heading into those games and playing with a backup quarterback, those were fantastic wins to be able to come out of there. So I think when you see people say, well, they haven't played their A game yet, I think when you look at the circumstances with Indianapolis and Tennessee, those were pretty dang close to it, given what was going on and who was playing and such. But when your main players are out there, and specifically your starting quarterback, and when you got your dudes out there, I think it is fair to say, like, we haven't quite seen that full on A plus perfect dominating type of game. And I think a lot of people are just still waiting to see that happen because you got all the talking heads out there. Again, we're talking about this is the team that's maybe best suited, or one of the best teams, or one of the teams best suited to take down the Lions and all that. I saw Alex Smith talking about that and such, and saying that they got to unleash, Jordan Love a little bit more in that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know about the unleash part there a little bit, but I think we're just all kind of waiting for that dominating, that perfect type of game. It feels like, again, are they not clicking on all cylinders? And maybe that's the positive part of this too, is that they are 7-3, that they are winning these one-score games, and we still are feeling like they're still not clicking. It's kind of the opposite a little bit of like when you have that team that's just on a roll and they're dominating in that, and they lose, and it's like, oh, that's a good loss for them. That's a good loss for them because it keeps them humble, kind of refocuses and keeps them set. Winning camouflages, hides a lot of the bad stuff. Well, I think in Green Bay's case, they're winning, but it's still evident that they've got some issues that they got to figure out. That they've got to figure out some of the stuff. Now, I will say they had, yes, the one penalty that was in the red zone. It was the illegal man downfield, but that was an RPO. And Brady did a really good job of explaining. I thought actually Brady did a better job calling this game than his previous Packers game. But Brady did a really good job explaining it was an RPO. Lineman, going down. They went in thinking it was a run. So linemen are run blocking. They're going down the field. Jordan Love pulled it back. He's got to get that out quicker. The play wasn't there, so you get the penalty. I kind of put that one off to the side. Overall, penalty-wise, I thought Green Bay cleaned up a lot of stuff. I know the Xavier McKinney one, that was ticky-tack for crying out loud, but it kind of felt like it was almost maybe a makeup one from a couple plays earlier and such. But for the most part, offensive linemen, I thought they had I think this offensive line, outside the penalties, and this was a good game for Green Bay in that sense. But offensive linemen overall, I think this group is maybe one of the most underrated units in the league in terms of pass protection. You look at, what they've been able to do in the running game and such. You don't hear a whole lot about this group collectively, yet they're one of the best in terms of not giving up sacks. And I feel like they're a little underrated at this point as a collective unit. They're solid. They're pretty darn solid. And guys like Rasheed Walker, even Sean Ryan, Josh Myers, we know about Zach Tom and Elton Jenkins. Those guys are having solid seasons. Yes, some stupid penalties, stupid, miscues and that at the beginning part, but overall, in terms of like pass protection and run blocking, they've done a lot of good stuff over there. So this is like almost like a perfect win for a coach where, hey, we got a lot of stuff we got to work on. It's going to be, a lot of coaching points and all that. You got the win, which is the most important thing, but it's like they get to hammer home a lot of different stuff. It wasn't like a 50-0 blowout where there wasn't a whole lot maybe that they could point out as a coach and all that. This is that win where a coach can sit there and be like, okay, but we still got to do this. And Matt LaFleur, too, I think has to go over a little self-reflection, too, because, again, as I said at the beginning, I felt like this was a game that he was off, too, in terms of some decisions, in terms of some play calls in that. But I think, I know Carl Brooks got the game ball afterwards, and they only gave one game ball, and that was to Carl Brooks in that, which I totally understand. And shout out to, if this was true, where Rich Bisaccia apparently said, they were planned for this. Apparently said too, if we come out of this game without a blocked kick, I'll be surprised. And lo and behold, it was a block kick that saved the game for them. But that's a credit to Bisaccia and the coach staff looking at it like, okay, identifying a weakness or identifying a hole to potentially make a play, and it worked. But we got to give a lot of love to Christian Watson in this game too. Josh Jacobs grinding out some tough yards in this game, but Christian Watson, I mean, for some of his plays, obviously the diving catch and getting up and making that run, or the deep catch, contested catch down the sideline, Christian Watson made some plays. And really, I think you can make the argument maybe saved the offense or saved the team overall with some of his catches and some of his big plays. For all the dropsies that this unit has gone through this year, Romeo had one yesterday. You think about dropsies, you think about Christian Watson in his rookie season. He starts off first play against Minnesota, long bomb in the breadbasket, drops it. And it's like, oh, he's instantly in Aaron Rodgers' doghouse. Later on that season, he has that game against the Cowboys. It's kind of his coming out party. But this is a game. This was an example of why Christian Watson is so valuable to this team. You'd like to maybe, have that consistent go-to guy like a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase. But Christian Watson's that guy where he's your big play, taking the top off, speed guy that can go get those balls or outrun a dude. And I think Christian Watson is an underrated blocker in the running game too. But I think, we got to give a lot of credit to Christian Watson for his game yesterday. Big time catches, big time plays to extend those drives, put his team in a position. Christian Watson deserves a lot of praise here this morning. I know it was just 4 catches, but they were monstrous catches, monstrous plays that kept this team alive. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll have more Green and Gold chats. Hit me up with some text, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. When was the last time that you got your oil changed? Looking at looking at windshield left upper corner over there. Yeah, it's probably due, right? Well, maybe you got to get that oil changed before you head to deer camp this week. If so, head on over to our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire and get that oil changed. Not only is ASAP Used Auto Parts your go-to spot for high-quality used auto parts and new tires, they're your go-to spot when it comes to oil changes as well. Don't wait any longer. Get that oil change today by giving ASAP Used Auto Parts a call at 715 514 4501. Also, best holiday ever going on right now. You can head to our website or around the 715.com. Click on the banner at sportstalk1051.com for more details. We've got contests, we've got giveaways. We for Backyard Dreams want to take some kiddos Christmas shopping again this year. So you can go over there and nominate a child to go Christmas shopping, and a bunch of other stuff's going on over there too. Especially we've got, if you're not a hunter and you're going to be around this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our crew over here that are not hunters is going to be going over for some bowling for birds. Bowling for birds. So that's going to be at Bullwinkles on the west side of Eau Claire. And come on over, throw a strike. Okay, throw a strike, and you could help get some turkeys in the hands of some people in our community. Okay. So this is going to be going on from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. With just a small cash donation. You can help provide Thanksgiving meals for families in need. Small cash donation, you'll get a shot at the pins, score a strike, and a Thanksgiving turkey will be donated to a family in need in the Chippewa Valley. And then on November 26th, that's next Tuesday, we're going to be over at Hy-Vee and donating, handing out some turkeys to anybody who needs a turkey for this Thanksgiving from starting at 10 a.m. next Tuesday, 10 a.m. to noon next Tuesday. So it's our best holiday ever. Big thanks to TF Exteriors, Abish Services, EC Moving and Storage, Savita Health, Auto Family Law, Herrick and Hart, Collective Charm, Meyer International Trucks, Merchants Bank, Green Oasis Gardens, Maury's Subaru, Flamingo Power Washing, Shields, and Hy-Vee. All right, we got about 10 minutes to the top here. We got JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, Sports Director Extraordinaire, who will be joining us from starting a little after 7 for about 40 minutes or so. So we've got some local sports roundup with him. We'll break down the teams heading to state football. Owen Withey winning 8-player state football, but then some blue, gold, and stout chat, a playoff chat over there too. So Justice Cleveland will be joining us. Badger fans, maybe some Badger football fans, saying finally with the new offensive coordinator. Well, we don't know exactly who the new offensive coordinator is going to be. For next year and such. Got some ideas who could be the interim coach, but we'll go through maybe some potential candidates for the new Badger offensive coordinator position, more likely for next year. Badger Hoops, though, had the big win on Friday night, taking down 9th-ranked Arizona to remain undefeated on the season. John Tanjay, 41 points, career high for the new Badger over there too. So we'll hit that up, and I know we got some Bucks chat tonight, or Bucks game tonight too. But baseball-wise, going to be more awards this week. Pay attention, Brewers. They do the Rookie of the Year tonight. It seems like Jackson Chourio, that would be, I think, a major upset if he does win. I ain't going to argue about it, and I think a lot of Brewers fans probably won't argue about it. But I think, from the national sense, he is the underdog, and as Paul Skeens seems to be a slight favorite, according to Bob Nightingale, over Jackson Merrill. But got Manager of the Year awards coming up later this week, too, and that's where we could see another Brewer secure an offseason award, and that could be Pat Murphy over there. So finishing up the first hour, though, with some texts. We've got G-Man chiming in first here this morning. DK, 7-3 is just fine for the Pack. And 2 false start calls were not called against the Bears. Come on, official, throw the flag. Special teams came up big. Go Pack Go. C-Bomb is saying, I'm not saying I've jumped off the Jordan Love bandwagon. I'm just saying he's regressed. He will get it going again. Jeff saying, why do you think it is that they're not targeting Jayden Reed as much anymore? He's a hell of a playmaker. Well, I mean, yeah, he only had a couple targets, had the touchdown yesterday. But I mean, he did have 6 targets against the Lions. He still overall leads the team in targets. Honestly, I feel like this is part of that receiving depth. This is part of what a lot of fans wanted, and what seems like the Packers are going towards, is that you've got Watson, you've got Dobbs, you've got Jayden Reed, you've got Tucker Kraft, you've even got Josh Jacobs, who's been a part of the passing threat. I know they're trying to get Dontavian Wicks in it. His snap count actually got cut a little bit yesterday. I just think it's part of what this group is. They've got other options, and any given week, it could be a different guy that steps up and fills that void. I mean, you look at the snap counts, Jayden Reed, he had 57% of the snaps. Watson was 67. And then Dobbs led the team actually with 78. So I'm not reading too much into it at this point. I'm really not, because I feel like it's just one of those instances that you've got options, you've got depth, and it could literally be anybody's given week. We saw it last year at the last couple weeks of the season, last few weeks of the season. I think they had a different 100-yard receiver in the last few games of the season. Bo Melton was one of those guys, for crying out loud. And then, it was Reed and then somebody else there. So at this point, I'm not reading too much into it. He is a heck of a playmaker, and he is a heck of a Swiss Army knife. But at the same time, too, I think we got to recognize that other teams take note of him. Other teams notice him and how much he can affect games, whether it's running the football, putting in motion in the backfield, creating some misdirection in that. So he's garnering a little bit more attention, which is opening the door for other playmakers at this point in time. Jayden Reed's good. He's okay. They'll be fine. And we got to think, too, they only threw the ball 17 times yesterday. Just 17 times yesterday. So, all right. What else do we got over there? We've got win's a win. This is from Jim. I just lost my headphones. Jim on our texting line says that a win's a win. That's the most important part. There definitely was some issues from offense and defense, but overall, Packers fans take the W against a division rival team. We got Eric also chiming in on the texting line here. Eric saying, this is what bugs me about Packers fans. Yes, they played poorly. Yes, there was issues to fix, but a lot of them still act like that they still lost the game against a division rival. It's Victory Monday, people. Cheers up. Cheers up or cheer up. So, all right. Hey, keep those coming. Okay. Keep those texts coming on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll have plenty more to talk about with the green and gold. We'll get JC's input and such coming up just past 7:00. Don't forget to keep sending me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Got a couple more I'm going to save for the next hour here. I'll get to those coming up here a little bit. But, hey, it could be worse. Could be the Jets, right? I mean, for crying out loud. That ship is, is it possible to sink twice in a single season? Holy crap. Pittsburgh edging out. Baltimore yesterday, 18-16, another division rival game there that went down to the wire. Minnesota getting a victory over Tennessee. Miami maybe getting a little bit of a rhythm here. How about the Broncos, too? Absolutely putting the beat down on Atlanta yesterday. If the playoffs were to start today, which we know it's not, but if the playoffs were to start today in the NFC, Detroit, by the way, Detroit now betting favorite to win the Super Bowl, first time in franchise history. They've had that. But Detroit would be the one, so they get a bye. You have Arizona as a 2 taking on Washington. That'd be a good matchup. Then Philadelphia taking on Washington. Arizona taking on Green Bay in a 3-6 matchup. Arizona is a 3 seed with 6-4 record leading their division. Arizona. Atlanta still leading their division. They'd be the 4 seed, but they'd be taking on the Vikings. A little Kirk Cousins potential playoff action right there. What's going on with San Fran right now? Man. Losing yesterday to Seattle. That NFC West is far from being decided right now. Arizona sitting there at 6-4, and everybody else is 5-5. I mean, that's going to be a division to watch, because only one team's maybe not, but I feel like only one team's going to come out of that thing being a playoff team, and it's going to be a crazy finish coming up here. You've got, Arizona's got at Seattle, at Minnesota, Seattle again. Then they finish up their last 2 weeks with the Rams and 49ers. Patriots and Panthers are mixed in there too. And then the 49ers, we know they got to come to Green Bay this weekend. Kind of a little bit of a desperate team coming in here. But they got Green Bay. Then they got Buffalo. They got to travel to Green Bay. Then they got to travel to Buffalo. Then they got the Bears. Then they got the Rams. Then they got to go to Miami. Then they're home against the Lions. And then at Arizona. San Francisco's in trouble. This is what makes me a little bit more nervous about this game this weekend. I know it's Victory Monday. We're focusing on the victory, but I got to admit, it's what's making me a little bit more nervous about this game this weekend with San Francisco coming in. I mean, this is a big game for both teams. For Green Bay, maybe to shed that San Francisco issues that they've had. But San Francisco is staying in this playoff chase too. All right, we'll be back after this. Second hour kicks off on this Victory Monday. Although from some Packers fans, it may not feel like a Victory Monday, even though it wasn't the prettiest game. Wasn't the prettiest game by any means.
It's Mellow Monday. We can't handle winning.
Ooh, I like it. JC coming up right away. Yeah.
Pet peeve. A guy who lived, living in Green Bay so long, nothing's ever good enough.
Yeah.
You beat a division rival on the road. It's a victory. Was it a great victory? No. Victory is a victory, especially in a division game. You put yourself in position to at least have a chance to win the game, and your special team stepped up and came through. Wasn't pretty, but win's a win. Take the win. Take the W, guys. Take the W. I mean, look at the Vikings. Most of their W's have been just ugly wins. They're sitting in a good position for the playoffs. So
yeah. I love the optimistic approach, man. That's why we have you on here. I get you.
It's not like they're the, like the post Super Bowl year where they went 15-1. And if they were, you had all the talent in the world and you're blowing the game. Yeah. No, this is a team that's still learning and still has not played their best game of the year.
I think that's from a lot of people too that I've seen. It's like they have not played their best game of the year. Although I would say that, that Indy and Tennessee job, what they did with Malik Willis was fantastic and all that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
But they're obviously with Jordan Love and a lot of their main players there, they haven't played their best game yet. But at the same point, maybe that gives some optimism that they are the youngest team in the NFL, that they're 7-3, and we have yet to see their best.
Yeah, and I think, obviously there's learning points in that game easily. You give up a 3rd and 19.
Oh, God.
At the end of the game.
When you start off with 2 sacks, I'm like, oh, yeah, we got – I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. After that, we've all lived – Packer fans have lived through those. Yeah. But, again, it wasn't a playoff game, so it's – but, yeah, that's not something – you don't want to throw the red zone interception.
Right.
That's huge. I don't know if –
that had to be one of your bugaboos because it was off his what?
Back foot.
Yeah, I thought of you right away once because I know you talked about that quite a bit.
It bugs me when you don't need to be thrown off your back, but he probably had time to set and throw because he was basically wide open right there.
Oh yeah.
So that happens. Do you kick the field goal there when they were down? You probably look back on that, kick the field goal, and it's good. I can see where you can look at these stuff, but don't be overall. It's a win. And celebrate, as much as the special teams has caused some issues with this team, Rich Bisaccia is right there. Everything they could have drawn up worked perfectly. It's a hand up in the air. I don't know how much you draw that up, but it worked. And you're walking away with the W, which easily could have been a tough gut punch after the bye week loss. Instead, you're victorious, headed towards a desperate San Francisco team at home.
Making me nervous. This game
I'm nervous too. I don't think San Francisco's done either by any means. I think, like you said, I was listening to you driving up, that West is far from decided. And whoever gets in there, if San Francisco gets hot, this is basically now this stretch here is where teams start finding themselves and get warm for the playoffs. Does that mean Detroit's not going to be the favorite by the time? Detroit's probably going to be the favorite if they keep up this pace.
Right.
But I think these other teams can catch up to Detroit, and I think we can have the playoffs are going to be fun. And that's the one thing as much as I bemoan a lot of the stuff in the NFL, the NFL playoffs end up just usually being as competitive and fun as you can get.
And, that NFC West race might be something to kind of pay attention to if you're the Packers, because right now if the playoffs started, the Packers would play the NFC West leader, which is Arizona. I don't know of any Packers fan that would want to play San Francisco if it comes playoff time.
No.
So
there's some Arizona, PTSD for that game against Aaron Rodgers back then. That's a team that had Packers number.
Yep, exactly. So definitely something to kind of keep. And you look at San Francisco's schedule. They got to go to Green Bay, then they got to go to Buffalo the following week. So they're going to be traveling a lot. They got the Bears, they got the Rams, they got to go to the Dolphins, then they got to play the Lions. Then they finish up so they got to be looking at this schedule like, okay, we got to get her going here.
Yeah.
And it might get going this weekend.
And that Dolphins team's with two out there, it's a whole different team. And again, now you get this kind of the weird schedule they have going on here too. So you got 2 Thursdays in a row.
Yep.
That is just crazy. When's the last time anybody's played?
I think Dallas did one year, like it was because they do the Thanksgiving.
Yes, that's true. Then they did okay. So it's not uncommon, but it just for Packers wise, I mean, it's crazy to have 2 in a row. So
yep. Well, I guess technically Detroit would too because they're going to play Thanksgiving and then they play Green Bay the following week.
I mean, in a way, kudos to the schedule makers for doing that. So you're not doing these 2. I guess you don't get the mini bye,
right?
But you get the mini bye the next week,
right? Exactly.
So at least you have a normal football week for that. But
you don't, because I guess you do play a short week from after San Francisco to Miami, but still, it's boy, you look at these next 4 games though.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Miami, Detroit, Seattle.
Like I said, they have to play better than they did against Chicago. But again, you still managed to get a win, and a win on the road in the NFL, and an absolutely hostile environment. I mean, that Soldier Field crowd was as loud as I've heard them in years because they wanted that win so badly. And that's always been a tough place to play. But I felt like yesterday it was just as vocal as you'll hear because those Bears fans are just chomping at the bit. They want to get over that hump and just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, especially with the upcoming schedule. I'll take wins right now, just as with not how bad, but how good the NFC is, how tight it is, and with the schedule coming up here, I'll take a win anyway. I can get it at this point. Would like it as a blow. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about predictions like 42-16. I'm like, gosh, I would love that, but I don't think I had 23-20. And
the Bears defense is a formidable defense. I think that's what people were kind of discounting. It's like, this is not that great Bears team. It's like, and their offense hasn't been doing much. You fire your offensive coordinator. That's actually what scared me more.
Yeah.
Because now you have different ideas. The film you're going off isn't, the play calling is going to be different than what you've seen all season long. And I think we saw that actually with Chicago. I think they were doing different things, and that definitely, and Caleb Williams played a good game. He really did. So, I mean, that was a whole bunch of stuff there that scared me more in this game. And that defense, just knowing that they're a good defense, and that's what it ended up being.
Right.
They kept it close, had a chance to win. So for Chicago, I think the positives there are the positives. Can't say that word now without Mike McCarthy in my head, but they're there for them too. So I mean, this division going forward, even the rest of this season, and then going into next season, it's going to be, I think, about the same again, where we're just going to have 4 teams just neck and neck.
I agree. It's gonna be a race to the finish here, no question about it. I think the biggest thing now, though, too, that maybe Jeff Hafley has to figure out with his defense is you look at how Chicago changed a lot. They almost took a page out of Detroit's playbook a little bit, quicker, shorter passing game.
Yep.
And I think that's now Hafley's got to figure out, how do I counter that? If it's put my corners up, press man coverage, bring in extra blitzers or something. That's something I think he's going to have to look at because San Francisco can do that.
Yeah.
With their weapons.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Miami could do that if they wanted to.
Wide outs, running back.
Right.
One of the best receiving running backs in the league right now.
And then you got Detroit again. So, I mean, that's, I think, something they got to figure out how to counter that.
Yeah. If you're not rattling them enough because, I mean, you're bringing pressure. And we saw that that last drive. You're bringing the pressure, but if they're able to step up, they're going to find that check down, and that check down ends up getting a ton of yards because there's not a whole lot around them. So, and if you're not going to have Jair on the field, and we don't know
what exactly is going on with that knee. They're very
I think they were cautious. I mean, they put him out there, and if credit to, I didn't hear the post game on him, but if he said he couldn't go, then at least he's taken himself out and not put himself out there. But that's a guy you need out there in big games to shut down
because it has a trickle down effect. So much.
And they've just been, it seems like year after year, they just get banged up in that defensive backfield. And then you're kind of just finding guys that wouldn't even be starting. A lot of guys that are coming off, start filling off the practice squad to fill out the roster for some of these spots. So that's not what you want to see. So it'll be interesting to see what we have with Jair coming forward.
Yeah, especially with these next 3 games too. That's what's making me a little nervous. So we'll get back to some more Packers talk here in a second. I want to touch on some Badger stuff before we get to some local sports roundup, because it was an eventful last few days here for Badgers. Friday night started off with a massive win for their basketball team. That Final Four squad, Bo Ryan must just be the good luck charm every time they play Arizona. So
wheel them out to every game now,
right?
Like, they got to be in the front row and good to go. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it because it was Friday night and we were doing a lot of football stuff, so I had it on in the background. But to put up 100 points in a competitive game, And that if that team's able to score like this isn't your Bo Ryan Badgers anymore. I mean, with that, you want some of the Bo. I'm not gonna, but the scoring wise, that's unheard of for a Badger squad. But if they can do that and be a little more high paced, and we're not seeing the long scoring droughts as we've seen in the last few seasons, this could be a tough squad. Everything was clicking in that game. That's as much as I think of the game they've had that everything was going right for them. And Arizona made their run.
Yep.
And they were able to withstand it and come back. They did have that little drought. It was right at the beginning of I saw that for the second half, where it was like a 7-0 run by Arizona. You're like, oh,
yep,
here we go.
Yep. John Tonje, I mean, the new Badger, 41 points, 21 of those coming from the free throw line.
And that's
getting to the line, man.
To get a guy too to come in right away. You know, you can have your critics for Greg Gard and stuff like that. But the last 2 years, you've brought guys in that have made an impact, scoring on that team and helped lead them. And Tonje looks like another one. And if that works out this way, and you have the guys, you have that experienced core, it's kind of almost a different way than you see it in a lot of these other teams.
Right.
They have that experienced core. That's the 4-year guys.
Yep.
But you bring in a couple other guys. I mean, that looks like a good formula right now. So it'll be fun to watch again. Let's see what they do against Grand Valley tonight. If they lose by 5 points, I will continue my adage. The Wisconsin Badgers can beat any team or lose to any team. But please don't lose tonight to Grand Valley.
Oh, man. Yeah, don't have a little bit of a hangover after that game.
Yeah, well, that's a definite switch of gears there. Yeah. It's like, okay, you got Arizona. Now you're back to kind of your normal non-conference. And then they got with the Greenbrier games this weekend. So weekend. It's like Troy Aikman saying Green Bay this weekend.
So yeah, but then football, I mean, so Saturday night, they had Oregon on the ropes little bit there, end up falling, and then the fallout, I think, to a lot of Badger fans wondering if this was going to happen. But yesterday afternoon, early evening, announced that they let go of Phil Longo, their offensive coordinator. So, to me, whoever Luke Fickell hires as offensive coordinator, he's got to nail it. That's potentially would have to save his job with this hire, right?
I think that's been the biggest thing with Badger football. I don't know how many. I mean, we going back. I mean, obviously the power run game was their bread and butter, and still is part of the bread and butter. It's been 12, 13 years since they've had a consistent passing attack. They've had guys who can come in there and be stable, but it's never a feared passing attack. We haven't seen a feared passing attack. I'm thinking back to like the Jared Aberdares days, Scott Tolzien, where they were efficient with it, even Russell Wilson, but you had big play guys. It just feels like they've had the athletes to have big play guys in the last 10 years. It just hasn't been there. And then this year, I mean, that offense, the defense has been playing some great football. And when your offense can't find a way to get in.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean,
Brandon Locke, I think he might just be on the bottom of the totem pole for a lot of Badger fans,
right?
In their quarterback totem poles. So,
and that's been the other thing. It's just been like, how many quarterbacks have we had that have been supposed to be the savior of the passing game, and just no one has paid off really? I mean, again, there's been solid quarterbacks. I mean, Joel Stave, going back the days.
Colzine, man.
Colzine, yep. They've had good quarter. It just seems like it's just never been. The hype hasn't been lived up to a lot of times with what they've had come in. You know, it's either nationally, recruited, highly ranked quarterbacks that come in, and then it's just like, it's just not there.
Yep.
I don't know what the issue is, but Phil Longo, it just didn't work. The air raid never happened. I don't remember there being a game where we're like, oh, this is what this offense.
Right.
I think if it was, the running game was still the main factor. And that's okay. I'm fine with having a power running game. But when if you fall behind and you can't do anything with that passing game,
exactly,
you get so one-dimensional, teams just lock it down. So tough fallout, but that's the reality of this day and age in college football. You don't have a long time,
right?
Especially get a power conference team back to where it needs to be.
Colton Bartholomew, friend of the program, who covers Badger football for the Wisconsin State Journal, he's got he put up on BadgerExtra.com 3 potential offensive coordinators with ties to Luke Fickell. Kind of looking for maybe, because he brought in a lot of his coaches over here, and Phil Longo is kind of one of the outsiders that wasn't a Luke Fickell type of guy. Now, one of them, as Colton notes, it's probably not going to happen. It would have to take a lot of effort.
Bill Belichick.
The current offensive coordinator for Notre Dame, Mike Denbrock, he was Fickell's offensive coordinator at Cincinnati from 17 to 21. But he is reportedly making $2.1 million per year, the highest salary in college football for an offensive coordinator. So,
yeah,
I don't know if that one's going to happen.
Wisconsin's not one to open up the pocketbook huge, like just insane amounts for especially an assistant.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the factor there. Now I guess it's a different day and age now in college football, so maybe they would, but
maybe the one that's potentially a little bit easier is actually the Notre Dame's quarterbacks coach, because remember Gino, I'm going to mispronounce his last name, Gudalugi or something like that. I butchered it. I apologize.
Gino,
we'll just say Gino.
Yeah, Gino.
He was originally hired to be the tight ends coach for Wisconsin. Then he left to be the quarterback coach for Notre Dame. And he was Fickell's quarterback coach in Cincinnati for 3 years, then offense coordinator in 2022. So maybe something like that with
some connections like that. Yeah.
So
that Notre Dame team's still fighting for a lot. So these discussions probably aren't happening until post bowl season or playoff season.
Yeah. The other one that Colton puts up there, he said this one would be a little bit of surprise and not necessarily a Luke Fickell connection, but it's the head coach at Idaho, Jason Eck. He's a lacrosse native, Badger football alum from 95 to 98, and just with Ohio being 24-12 and has made FCS playoffs both of the past 2 seasons. So Fickell, he says, has expressed in the past a desire to have alumni on the coaching staff, and Eck fits that bill. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen head coaches move on to be coordinators at bigger level programs. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, it's somebody, whoever comes in is going to have it's a tough job.
Yep,
really is just trying to figure out what the magic potion is to get that offense to have a passing attack at Camp Randall, because it's just been, again, I feel like the last 10 years, it's kind of been just not there for the big gouging plays that you would like to see.
Exactly. So, all right. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. We'll do some local sports roundup because, we've got some teams going to state football. Got some Blue Gold and Stout stuff to catch up on. I know you were just over the weekend watching some soccer and some OT thrillers for the Blue Golds. So we'll take a quick break and do a little local sports roundup coming up in just a couple minutes. We got the deer opener coming up this weekend, and we know that the main goal is to get that trophy deer, but what should you do after you get your deer? Take it to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking to get some bacon-made steaks or snack sticks, Mike's has options for anyone when it comes to getting your deer processed. And if you have a full freezer and want to donate your deer to those in need, Mike's Star Market is your deer donation site. Best of luck this deer season. And remember, once you get that deer, bring it on into Mike's Star Market because you know you will be getting the best quality products in return.
Oh, venison sounds so good right now.
Venison bacon right now this morning sounds really good. We got about 15 minutes or so left with Mr. Justice Cleveland here in the fall prep sports season. Well, even the collegiate season kind of starting to wrap up here a little bit. We'll start it off with high school football. Shout out to Owen Withey, 8-player state champions. So
Terry Lau be doing it again. Did it in the 11-man a couple times. Now doing it if the 8-player.
Yeah,
just a good for that team. I mean, that was controversy a couple of years ago where they weren't eligible for the playoffs. Had a great season.
Yep.
That team just carried it on and probably carried it on for the seniors of that class. And to come out there. Great football going on in the 8-player, and then we had Thorpe in the title game last year. You have Owen Withey this year, so Terry Lau, and I could sit and listen to Terry Lau talk for. He's just such a fun interview, and congrats to that team.
I think Brandon noted too on Twitter because he was actually at the game, watching as a fan. But he said, I believe he is the first coach in Wisconsin State football history to win an 8-player state title too. So,
good for him. Yeah. And I don't know what his Hall of Fame status is, but he's got to be getting close if he's not in already. I mean, because to have that many titles, 4 titles now, that's impressive. And doing it for now 30 years. His first title I think was 92. If he was the coach on that was the first year that Owen Withey won the title, so it was 92. So 32 years later,
right?
That's just impressive. Hats off to that team.
Absolutely. So 11-player football will start state championships on Thursday and then finish up on Friday. But we've got Baldwin Woodville going, we've got Rice Lake going, kind of in our immediate area. I know we got a little familiarity with Edgar and Stratford also going. Yep. Stratford's going again.
Grantsburg as well. Another team that been in the area a lot too.
Exactly. So got a little representation. But Rice Lake, man, D2, no problem for them.
I don't think people understand how tough of a road that is to go from one division to the next division and have a target on your back because you're a champion, you're a state champion,
right?
And they played some tough games. Even start out of the gate in their first round game. It was Monona Grove, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And for them to make this run, and Hill doing such a great job with that team, and now got a chance for back-to-back state titles. And I don't know the stats of winning from one division to a next back-to-back years, but got to be pretty rare.
Yeah.
That's verified air for this Rice Lake team. So, and another chance for a title for a team that's been there a few times in the past decade. Just hats off to that program.
I know Edgar defeated Boyceville, and that was a really close game down to the end there.
Boyceville last year, Edgar ended their season, and I think it was level 3. Level 4, Edgar at 1 point, an extra point, and kudos to that kicker for that. I mean, extra points in high school football are never anything that you're like, okay, this is going to happen for sure.
Right.
So Edgar's Sins does a great has such a great program. Again, another team that's at state a lot.
Yep.
But Boyceville, I mean, they're right there, and they return a lot of those same players. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 graduating big time skilled players on that. So that team next year, I think, is going to be the one that you're going to see a spotlight on, and then probably going to end up with another matchup with Edgar. So you hope it's like you build up, you lose that one, you get a little closer the next year, and then. But yeah, for the Bulldogs, fine season, nothing to shake your head. I mean, losing to Edgar is a lot of teams have done it, a lot of great teams have done it. So yeah, just a tough way to end it, but get that close.
Exactly. I know, was it a couple when you were over state volleyball? Did you actually go check a Baldwin Woodville playoff game? I mean, for them, 40-16 in a game to go win to go to the state championship.
That team, that offense is just something that it just clicks. Like they can run it, they can pass it. They were, when I was it was the Freedom game, and they were down 14-0, and I'm like, this might be it was looking more like they gave up the touchdown. They went for it on 4th down, gave up the ball, and then Freedom scored again. I'm like, oh, this might be over by halftime because it just like Freedom, and then just something clicked on that offense, and then it was like they scored 28 to 4. They outscored them 28-14 the rest of that half, and then in the second half just took control. So Kiefer's got that team playing like a well-oiled machine, and yeah, like you said, to go 40-16 in level 4.
Yeah.
And it's they have Slinger. Is that who they?
I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be a tough road at State, as anybody is gonna be.
Or no, they play. Excuse me. Racine St. Catharines.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Racine. Sorry,
Yep.
I'm getting my teams mixed up here. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. But hey, for that team to play as well, a middle border team, which we've seen a lot of great middle border teams go down to success. Yeah, this team offensively, I think if they could do what they've done the last season, I want to say playoffs, but like last round even.
Exactly.
They're going to be a fun team to watch on the turf there at Camp Randall.
College-wise, Blue Gold football season is over with after falling to Whitewater at Carson Park. But Stout, I mean, again, they fell. They had a chance to, if they would have beat Platteville, to share a conference title. But I mean, it was a close game, and actually Stout, they got one more game because they're going to the Culver's Isthmus Bowl.
Yeah,
going to be going up against Wheaton. But this year, I think Stout, from what they were able to do, a lot of close, even their losses were really close, but some big time wins. They caught a lot of people off guard a little bit this year.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I think a lot of the, if you looked at the prognosticators in the beginning of the season, would not have had Stout battling for a conference title, but Plate Birmingham got the most out of that team. And I mean, that's a team that could easily, they were so close, and even their losses were close.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they get this extra game. It's nice to have that Isthmus Bowl. I wish it was called the Butterburger Bowl, but
I know, right?
It would be fun, but I'll take Isthmus Bowl too. But yeah, for them to get that extra game, that's great for them. And that just shows you where it's really a good recognition for a team that worked their butt off and came very close to, as stacked and close as the WIC's been in years for football. So yeah, good job, Clayton, that team, and see what they can do this weekend against Wheaton. Thank you. The Wheaton Golden Gus. No, that's Gustavus. What is Wheaton?
The
Thunder.
Thunder. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've been there. When I was in college, I did like an NCAA tournament soccer game there. But yeah, just inside baseball has nothing to do with this. But I'm just trying to remember the name of the team.
Well, you said soccer, and you watched some soccer with the Blue Golds.
Yes.
OT thriller. And the Blue Golds get the win. They advance to the Sweet 16, and home field advantage continues because UW Eau Claire is going to be hosting the next 2 rounds. And they're going up against a familiar opponent, too, in Platteville that they've had some good matchups with.
Yeah, I mean, what a game on Saturday. They were knocking on the door the whole time. And it's one of those games where you have one couple of saves that just knocked it out, and you're like, okay, then on overtime they have one that goes right off the post and doesn't go in, and you're starting to think, oh no, is this one of those games where you just can't put it in and the other team's going to find a way? And they almost did. They came back and nearly scored after that one that went off the post, but keeper made the save, and then they, in the second overtime, I mean, they were getting them. They were right on the door, and then they get the first header's denied, the second header goes in, and then you're celebrating. And
yeah,
what an atmosphere there at Simpson Field. And they get another game for sure, and hopefully 2 more games, or another game after that, if they can get the win on Saturday against Platteville. So Casey Holm just continues to keep that program on just the great trajectory, and yeah, now making the Sweet 16.
That's
sixth round of 16. I probably can't say that legally or whatever.
It's just, we've talked about this program to where it was just, I mean, freshman, in its infancy just a few years ago, and they've continued to get better every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly one of the, in the last few years, I think, and especially in our area, one of the more impressive jobs sports wise that we've seen to, for one, because I talked to a couple players from the soccer team last week for our Rolling with the Golds podcast, and they were part of the first team,
right? Their keeper, part of the first team, and then the guy who scored is a freshman, so it's like a perfect mixture there.
Exactly. And it's like, well, what were the expectations when you come in? It's first year program and all that, and a lot of us like, hey, we knew we were going to get playing time right away. And you know, and that's true when
Yep.
you think about it. But then to just continue to get better every single year, and I know they got to be chomping at the bit to be going up against Platteville again at
Yeah.
home this time too. That's going to be a heck of a game, heck of a game. And I hope just that group for, you know, how they started to where they're at now to get to a, can we say Final Four, the last four, whatever
Yeah.
they wanted to say over there. But to that would be
a little bit of cold for, not
Yeah.
frozen, but
right.
if it was like Saturday,
Exactly.
cold.
Yeah. It'd just be, I mean, so cool for that group, for the
it really
group of
would
kids. I mean, and Coach Casey too. What a fantastic job he's done for that unit. So,
and the fans came out in
Mhm.
great support there, and they should get even. I feel like it's gonna be even bigger on
Mhm.
Saturday and Sunday. So
Yep.
yeah, I watch with awe of how they've started and just been you know, you said, started at a high level and have just gotten better and better every year.
I don't know how, like Banks, you know, the goalkeeper Banks over there. I asked him, like, how, you know, when you get to these games, like I was thinking about that when I was watching your updates, and it's like OT and it's scoreless. Like, I'd be just a nervous wreck if I'm a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's what I asked him after the game too.
Yeah. And I don't know what he said to you, but he told me, he's like, yeah, he just kind of blacks out during the game. Sort of thing. Like, he doesn't know, you know, just goes in and trusts his. I'm like, I would be like overthinking everything.
Oh, me too.
You know, and that. But
And that's what I said. I was like, as somebody who's never been in that position,
right.
like if I'm a person like steps over and has a chance for a birdie putt from 5 feet, I'm the least clutch person.
Right.
These guys just like they were confident though.
Yeah.
Because they had been on the doorstep the whole time. They were just like, it was just a matter of time, we felt. But you never want to go to PKs.
Right.
Because that's a whole different world. If you don't, and that, you know, they were 4 minutes away from going to PKs, and that changes the whole dynamic there.
Yeah.
Because then it's just one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think them getting that goal, I think, yeah, I mean, it couldn't have worked out more perfectly, but I'm sure for me, even watching up there, it's like, what's going to happen here? And
yeah.
Just the composure they all showed.
I'm thinking of like Mighty Ducks D2 when they had to get in that shootout at the end, you know, that Julie the Cat's, you know, I don't know if you've seen D2.
Oh, I've seen all.
Okay.
I've seen them all.
It's like, that's already kind of, you know,
yeah,
nerve-wracking there. So before I let you go though, did you watch Paul Tyson?
Oh man. I wish I hadn't.
It
turned into everything I thought it would be.
Yep.
They threw punches for 30 seconds, and then it's just dance around. Like every one of these high-profile dream matchups, or whatever you want to call them, have been back to the Pacquiao Mayweather. Like after this first fight, it just becomes, we're here to make millions of dollars, give a show, which wasn't even a show.
No.
And I felt I had hopes that maybe this Tyson would come out there and just try to. But again, it
sucked us in.
No one wants the Paul brothers out there.
No.
And like, there's no more punchable faces in the world than the Paul brothers. And here they are. They have the stranglehold on boxing right now. And they're not real matches.
No. And that's where, like, I admit it before, but I was like, I was falling in to the nostalgia.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I just want it to go back.
We've watched Rocky Balboa.
Right. This was the Rocky Balboa movie played out, the sixth Rocky that played out. But it's like, you know, even like watching Evander, and the production was, I don't know if you were watching like some of the undercard stuff, and they had like Lennox Lewis and Evander on there. Evander couldn't hear the people talking, so they had to ask Lennox to ask Evander Holyfield a question for them. I'm like, what are we doing here? You know,
this is not a good debut for Netflix. And, you know, they've got Monday Night Raw starting in the new year.
Well, then they got Christmas football games coming up too.
That too.
So
they've done plenty of live stuff. It's not like this is the first live thing. They've been doing live stand-up stuff forever. Yeah. But I guess it's a little different when there's a lot more production going into this. But
maybe trying to fill in time. I was not impressed.
Well, then there was like Morrow, who's one of the great, I love as a play-by-play announcer. Yep. Knowing that Tyson has the biting fixation and having the answer, and Roy Jones asking the same question 25, like that was it just got to a point where it was just so cartoonish, and it's just like, we can't. Boxing, as a kid who grew up watching boxing with his dad, Tuesday night fights on USA back in the day, and the ESPN fights. These aren't boxing matches. They're exhibitions, and that's what we got. And it's just sad that this is what the big time boxing when there are actual talented boxers out there who deserve the spotlight more than this.
Completely agree. I mean, even like it was after the first undercard, I think, to just kind of wrap it up here. When Evander was on there, I think one of the people, they even asked him one of the most ridiculous questions. Think Tyson's going to bite his ear? Like, why would you ask that?
Right.
I get Evander's there now, but come on. I mean, really? Just dumb. It was dumb.
It was the lowest common denominator boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unfortunately where I think we're at with boxing in this day and age, because your biggest stars are YouTube stars who know how to make money. If there's one thing the Paul brothers know how to do, is make money.
Exactly.
And they've made a ton of it, and they made more off of all of us. The only nice thing is, like, we all had Netflix subscriptions, so we didn't have to pay for it. That's the only thing, is I didn't shell out $50 to watch that match. It'll only just go, and they keep hiking up the prices because to put on productions like that, to pay NFL rights. Yeah,
exactly. All right, dude, we appreciate it. I know we're going to be off next Monday, so have a very good Thanksgiving.
You too.
With you and the fam, safe travels. I know you guys will be doing some travels too. So, well, hopefully we'll catch up in a couple weeks here too. But I think the next time we talk to you, we'll have 2 games in, maybe. Yeah,
that's true.
We'll have 2 games in here.
We'll have to just really break it down.
Right? Exactly.
And then for all you golfers out there, today is probably it.
Good. That's your PSA.
Yes.
For the morning.
For you won't hear me talk about golf. To my wife, I'm coming home.
That's awesome. That's so cool. We appreciate you, buddy. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll have some more Packers chat to close up this hour after these few words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
When was the last time you looked up in that left-hand corner of your windshield at the oil change sticker? Now you just realized it's been a while because you are overdue for a change. Where to go? Simple. ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only is ASAP Used Auto Parts your go-to spot for high-quality used auto parts and new tires, they're your go-to spot when it comes to oil changes as well. So don't wait any longer. Get that oil change today by giving ASAP Used Auto Parts a call at 715-514-4501.
Fall is here and winter's right around the corner. Is your footwear ready? At Shoe Doctor, they've got you covered from the crisp fall days to the snow-filled months ahead. Whether you need waterproof boots, warm winter shoes, or stylish options for the season, their experts will find the perfect fit for you. They carry the best brands with comfort and durability guaranteed. Visit Shoe Doctor on East Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire or online at ShoeDoctorEauClaire.com. Shoe Doctor, where your feet always leave happy no matter the season. Shoe Doctor, fitting you for life.
Whether farming has been in your family for generations or you're just starting out, you know that there's a lot to be learned from those who've been doing this a while. Work with the bank that's been committed to farmers and their families for more than 80 years and can help you plan for and navigate changes today and down the line. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything. Put us to work for you today at bremer.com.
He serves up a whole lot of sports with a whole lot of opinion, which means you've got a whole lot of listening to do. The Dan Casper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
What's on your Christmas wish list this year? If you said a new home or maybe even a piece of land in the middle of the woods to escape to, you're in luck because Woods and Water Realty has your wish list already available. Just visit woodsandwater.com to check out all the listings available for homes, cabins, or parcels of land. And the team of realtors at Woods and Water Realty are ready to help you find that new dream home or piece of land to build your future dream home. Realtors from Woods and Water Realty are with you every single step of the way, making the process of home buying super simple. So start looking through that wish list right now at woodsandwater.com. Shout out to Woods and Water Realty, also partners of the Mobile Man Cave. We're going to finish up our second hour, getting back to a little green and gold chat. Packers escaping Chicago with a 20-19 victory. We'll bring in Joe here. Joe, I gotta imagine as a coach, this is one of those games where we got the W, but they appreciate it because they still got a lot of stuff to talk about and go over with their players. Winning doesn't always.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt, Captain. I mean, when you look at that game and you look at the job that the coaching staff did of the Green Bay Packers and the players themselves, there is a lot of work to do. And first of all, Matt LaFleur, I don't know why you're going for it and not kicking the field goal late in the game. That to me was a panic move, one of the biggest head scratchers that I've seen. You kick that field goal, and then Green Bay just needs a field goal at the end and not the touchdown. And again, a lot of things could happen. I get it, but you still take the points in a situation like that. Now, the other thing I thought was interesting, LaFleur talked about this, that it was a wild card week. And by that, I mean this. When Chicago replaced their offensive coordinator and brought in Brown to do the play calling, that's a wild card type of thing because Green Bay did not prepare for the running game that they saw. So it was kind of one of those things that they prepared early in the season for the running quarterbacks, but they didn't prepare for it yesterday. And so I think Green Bay was caught off guard with that, and I thought that was really interesting. But again, Matt LaFleur needs to do a better job. Period. End of discussion. I mean, the red zone offense, he still hasn't fixed that. Just too many things on that sideline right now. And again, I still think Matt LaFleur, one of the better head coaches, one of the better play callers in the NFL. But when you've got Josh Jacobs and you've got 2nd and 1, run the ball in the red zone. Run the ball in the red zone. So yeah, definitely. I've said this before. No such thing as an ugly win, because in the columns it's win, loss, tie. There's no UW for ugly win. And so, it's one of those things I always say, I'll take the win. It's hard to win any given Sunday, et cetera, but a lot to clean up this back half of the year.
Yeah, it felt like that was one of those games yesterday. I just felt like it was almost the Packers won in spite of some poor decisions and poor play calling, from Matt LaFleur, or even, some other coaches, like even, challenging Jordan Love, whether he got in the end zone or not, when you're just 6 inches away. I'm like, that timeout could be pretty valuable depending on what happens in the previous drive. There was some really questionable stuff. And I almost felt like the team won in spite of that a little bit.
Absolutely. And again, I think Matt LaFleur was coaching from a bit of a panic perspective, and whether or not he's feeling it a little bit. And again, this, Captain, you and I talked about this. This whole team coming into last year was not the hunted, all right? And that includes Matt LaFleur. And so now they're the hunted, and that includes Matt LaFleur. And you're seeing a little bit of that pressure. You're seeing it in the players. I think you're seeing it in the coaching staff. The biggest thing for me is a lot of the same mistakes that plagued the Packers the first half of the year weren't fixed going into this Bear game. And again, they're 7-3. They're in 6th position in the NFC, so they're in good position right now. Matter of fact, if the season were to end today, I believe they're playing Philadelphia in the playoffs.
Arizona.
Arizona, gotcha. Mm-hmm. So they're in good position, I think. I feel they really are. There's just something missing with this team. And somebody yesterday on social media talked about this, that this team reminds him, and I can't remember who it was specifically, but reminds him, I believe, of the 95 Packers. 94 Packers go 9-7. They have lots of talent. They get into the playoffs. They win a game. There's high expectations for that 95 team. That 95 team goes 9-7. And so maybe last year put this team on the fast track a little bit too much. But again, lots to clean up, lots of question marks. At the end of the day, a W is a W. And I do put merit and weight, I do, into the switching of the offensive coordinators midweek. I think that does leave a little bit of a wild card. That being said, a lot to improve, especially over these next 2 weeks, because you've got 2 home games back to back. You've got the 49ers this Sunday, and then you got the Dolphins on Thanksgiving night. After those games, you go on the road to Detroit and Seattle. Those are 2 tough games coming up on the road that first part of December. So Green Bay needs to make these next 2 weeks count, and they've got to go back-to-back wins with the 49ers and Dolphins.
We've seen 2 weeks in a row now, when you count Detroit and Chicago, kind of employ a short, quick passing game against this Packers defense. How does Jeff Hafley counter that? What does he have to do? Because I got to imagine, I mean, you look at San Francisco, that I mean, they're going to be looking at this and like, how are offenses moving the ball against Jeff Hafley? In the last couple of weeks, we've seen Detroit and Chicago have success with that quick, short passing game. How does Jeff Hafley adjust to that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because you look at it. Caleb Williams, 23 of 31. Now, only 6 yards per pass attempt. You compare that to Jordan Love, had some big plays. He was over 14 yards a pass attempt. So Green Bay right now, it's a true conundrum, and I mean that. And I'm not making light of it. Here's the thing: this team having issues getting pressure with their front four. Now they're looking at this and they're saying, okay, now teams are just taking what they're going to get. And again, when you look at time of possession, Green Bay could not get off the field. 36 minutes for Chicago, 23 to Green Bay. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing you've got to do is this. I think you've got to play a little bit more press man. Now, it does hurt that Jair is not in there. And again, he was taken out of the game again. Now, I heard it was precautionary and nothing more happened to the knee. But I think you got to play press man. And I think you've got to bring somebody from that linebacking core. You've got to find an extra blitzer. You've got to find an extra guy, if you will. And so if you're playing press man and you're really locking them down, and you get a little bit of extra pressure, and the quarterbacks are going to be content to throw short, hopefully you have an answer for it. So it's one of those things where there's just a combination of things. And again, you're not getting pressure with the front four. And so now you've got a blitz, which puts your secondary under a lot of pressure. And so, yeah, it's one of those things. When one thing is wrong with the defense, it kind of trickles down to the rest of it. But that's, if I were Jeff Hafley, moving forward, I would play more press man coverage to try to knock these guys off their routes, because if you knock them off their routes, the short routes shouldn't be there. And then bringing an extra blitzer from that linebacking core. And maybe it's time again. Edgerrin Cooper needs to see the field more. I think Wilson needs to see the field more. And I think Quay Walker needs to take a seat, because I think he is one of the problems right now. And again, I like Quay Walker, but he just can't see the play. And I think the Green Bay Packers are much better off with Edgerrin Cooper and or Eric Wilson out there.
You must have read my mind, because that's where my next question was going to go to. I mean, we saw Quay Walker again play 100% of the snaps yesterday, and then Wilson only playing 18% of the snaps yesterday. And there was a few plays too where it felt like Walker was there, but then, he gets to that point, but the runner still gains a yard or a couple yards. I know there was one on a touchdown. There was one on I think it might have been a third or fourth down. He's there, but he can't bring him down. And then the next game I'm watching Leo Chanel from the Chiefs just absolutely take down guys one-on-one where they don't gain those positive yards. I mean, at this point, I agree with you. Quay Walker's got to either do something different. Is he just better as a blitzing linebacker at this point? I mean, why do they keep doing it? Is it just because he's a first-round pick?
You know what? I think there is pressure with the first-round pick. I don't think there's a question. But look, you don't have to be a coach. You don't even have to be an avid fan to see that Quay Walker right now, he's a liability out there. Mm-hmm. And there's just not there's not enough of a physical game to him that can make a difference. And so, yeah, I think at this point in time, one of the things Hafley could do is switch it up. Now, they talk about Edgerrin Cooper's practice habits. I don't care how good Quay Walker is in practice. It's not translating to games. And you play your best players. And right now, I don't have a question in my mind that Eric Wilson and Edgerrin Cooper are better options than Quay Walker. So what does Jeff Hafley do? I think he does a couple of things scheme-wise, but then I think he gets better personnel out there. Mm-hmm. There's no question in my mind that you need to make that move. And if Green Bay doesn't make that move, that might be one of the things that derails a Super Bowl run or a long playoff run. Because if you're married to your first-round picks, if you're committed to playing them come hell or high water, you're going to sink. And I think Green Bay right now is seeing that with the Quay Walker. I get it. He's got the green dot. You got to switch that out. You got to do this. I get it. He's a likable guy. He practices well. Although it doesn't translate to games. And so, again, play your best players. And if Green Bay wants to make a run in the playoffs, if they want to make a run in the playoffs, it starts now. Absolutely starts now. And that starts with personnel. That starts with play calling. And that starts with in-game management by Matt LaFleur and the staff.
Got a couple minutes to the top of the hour here, Joseph. Now you got a desperate San Francisco team coming in after they lost yesterday. They're sitting at 5-5, but not that NFC West is way up in the air at this point. But we know we've got plenty of experience going up against San Francisco here, Joseph. How concerned are you with this game, or how nervous are you with this game?
I'm very nervous. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not going to bury the headline. I'm picking San Francisco. I think you're going to have a Shanahan-led team that is going to be pissed off, and they've had Green Bay's number. We know that, and I almost liken it to Green Bay could not get over the Dallas hump back in the 90s. And now it's the 49ers. And so I think right now, Green Bay didn't show me anything to say that they can stand up to do the physical game that the 49ers are going to bring. So right now I'm picking the 49ers. And again, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope I'm buying drinks at every bar in Eau Claire for being wrong. But right now, based on what I saw, this is a good football team the Packers are. I'm not throwing away the season. But this thing, we need to start seeing some A games from this football team and complete games if you want to be a believer in a long playoff run.
I agree with you, man. I'm definitely really nervous for this one. I like how you phrase it too. Pissed off. You're exactly right, man. They are pissed off coming into this game. So.
Oh, no question. No question. And so it's kind of one of those things that I think the 49ers are going to be they're going to be hell-bent, man, and they're going to be making a statement. And this is a statement game against the Green Bay Packers. And again, this is exactly why I'm picking the 49ers this week. And I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't seen the improvement and the little things cleaned up by this Packer squad.
I think I agree with you too, buddy. Hey, we appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the rest of the week, and one of these days we'll have a victory scotch, okay, bud?
Absolutely. Well, I'm in South Bend this week and then gone next week. So hopefully victory scotch the following week after that Miami Dolphin Thursday night game.
We'll appreciate it. All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Take care, Captain.
You too. 2 hours in. We got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back. third hour, final hour on this Victory Monday. It's flying on by already here this morning. A big thanks for tuning in. However, wherever you may be tuning in from, it is also I'm not saying, I'm just saying Monday morning. Send us your best. I'm not saying, I'm just saying Monday morning. Whatever we're calling it, quotes, phrases, fill in the blanks. All right, fill in the blanks. You know the drill. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Really quick, also want to throw out a couple of reminders to you all. This is cool. Coming up in June. All right, coming up in June, we've got Jayden Reed's going to be coming over to Chippewa Falls doing a football camp for the youngsters over there. So more details are up on Facebook with this if you want to sign a child up or such. But I think I'm going to be taking Hudson's going to be a good. I think I'm going to take him over there because he is a big time Jayden Reed fan. But just wanted to throw that out there for any younger kids out there, younger kiddos who maybe in football, but also a shot to maybe get to meet and talk a little bit with Jayden Reed. But that's going to be coming up in the early part of June. I'll tell you what, I'll share the thing on Facebook. I'll share the event up on Facebook. So make sure you're following along on our Facebook pages, whether it's Sports Talk 105.1 or my page over there too. But kind of mark your calendars. I think probably a lot of you already saw it coming up on or showing up on Facebook and such. But it's going to be pretty cool to see him over in Chippewa Falls for a little bit there, right? Yeah. So also want to remind you as well, we've got the best holiday ever going on. I know I talked a little bit about that a little bit earlier, but again, head to aroundthe715.com, aroundthe715.com, and check out your chances to win some prizes, nominate a kid so we could take them Christmas shopping as well. God, that's going to be open up for just a few more days, so make sure you nominate some kiddos so we could take them Christmas shopping. We're doing it again as part of Backyard Dreams. Again, aroundthe715.com or sportstalk1051.com live around the 715.com. Visit around715.com. Try to do two things at once. Or go to sportstalk1051.com and click on the banner for Around the 715. Because I forgot to mention the actual date for the Jayden Reed Youth Football Camp. It's June 12th. June 12th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Kids, boys and girls aged 6 to 16 to Ray Field. Again, it's going to be June 12th, Jayden Reed's Youth Football Camp, boys and girls age 6 to 16. Otherwise, if you don't want to check out Facebook, you can go to flexworksports.com. Flex, that's FLEX, worksports.com over there to sign your child up. Speaking of green and gold, obviously we've been talking a little Packers here this morning with that W, barely squeaking by with a W, 20-19 over the Chicago Bears, thanks to Carl Brooks's field goal block. Apparently, Rich Bisaccia and the special teams unit noticed something in their scouting with a little bit of an opportunity, if you will, for the Packers to block field goal. Apparently, Rich Bisaccia even said before the game, if we come out of this thing and not have a blocked field goal, he'd be surprised. And lo and behold, the blocked field goal came at a perfect time yesterday. So Packers getting that win to improve to 7-3 in a very, very hotly contested NFC North division and hotly contested NFC conference. Obviously, this was a game that, everybody's saying, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people saying, Packers won, that's great. They didn't deserve it, or they didn't play like it. They didn't play like a winning team. There's no question about it. This was a very, very ugly game. I felt like Green Bay almost won in spite of some coaching decisions and play calls and that. I felt like the team won in spite of that a little bit yesterday. It was definitely a game that I caught myself, or I found myself, I should say, questioning LaFleur's decisions a whole lot more than I have in the past. Not necessarily just. I mean, there was some play call decisions too. I was like, what are we doing here? Or even just like decisions overall, whether it was to go for the field goal, which I thought he should have went for the field goal, or challenging the Jordan Love one when you're just 6 inches. I mean, was it worth it? Why not just have that timeout in the back pocket in case you need it? So I mean, there was questions all across the board for me, and yet felt like Green Bay still won in spite of that. So I mean, yes, you can point to a bunch of different things that went wrong. That was not good yesterday. Another interception in the red zone by Jordan Love. Issues like that, turnover on downs in the red zone. Definitely some issues that I mean, this is the perfect type of game for a coach. One, you got to win, but you get to harp on and you get to, go through the film with your players and kind of go through what we got to change. I mean, there's a bunch of coaching points here, but I also feel like Matt LaFleur's got to look at himself too, a little self-reflection, and be like, okay, there's some coaching points for myself here too. There was a few instances where I put my team in a bad position, or I didn't do enough for my team to help win this ball game. I hope LaFleur kind of looks at that and looks at some of the decisions, some of his, some of the things that he decided to do, and kind of looks at that and be like, yeah, I got to be better too. I got to be better as a coach. I hope he does that. I think he will, and I hope he does that. And I think Jeff Hafley has to look at his unit now, going forward. And the big question mark for me is, what not that we deserve to know, but what the heck is going on with Jair Alexander's knee? Like, we haven't really heard what happened. Like, what's the issue? Is it an MCL? Is it a sprain? What's the issue here? He does a pregame workout. He gets cleared to suit up and play. He plays 10 snaps and he's out. And if it was just for precautionary, why suit him up to begin with? Or did something pop up? Where was it maybe in the pregame workout? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I'd feel a whole lot better for these next 3 games if 23 was suited up, but also not just suited up, I guess, anymore. Actually going to play the game. Play the majority part of the game at this point. Because if you're Jeff Hafley, you have to look at this and be like, okay, last 2 weeks now, we've had teams employ a short, quick passing game against my defense. How do I counter that? How do I adjust? How do I stop teams from having success against this? We saw Jared Goff have success against it just a couple weeks ago. Caleb Williams got into a groove. I think we even talked about it on Friday when it said, how do you get a rookie, young quarterback, kind of get some confidence? How do you get them into a little bit of rhythm? Quick passing games, getting the ball out, right? And that's exactly what Chicago did. And that's a credit to Chicago. That's a credit to Thomas Brown, interim offensive coordinator. Getting the ball out quick, bubble screens, receiver screens. You look at the throw chart there. I mean, I'm looking at it from Next Gen Stats right now. And yes, he had more throws a little bit down the field compared to what Jared Goff did, but a lot of his completions here, you're talking 5 around the 5, it's inside the 10-yard mark. I mean, he even had 5 completions behind the line of scrimmage, and you're talking about a few right at the line of scrimmage, getting the ball out. So credit to the Bears there, but that's what Jeff Hafley's got to figure out now. He has got to figure out, how do I stop this? What do I got to do to adjust? I think it's got to be a combination of things. I think it's got to be, you got to play your press man coverage. I think you've got to go and play your press man. I think is there a risk with it? There absolutely is risk with it, especially when you're going up against some talented wide receivers here. Now, I don't think, could be wrong, but I don't think Green Bay is going to play press against Miami. I don't think they want to potentially get burned by the speed of Waddle and Tyreek Hill. So I think you're going to still see more a type of zone coverage against those two receivers. But you look at the next 3 weeks, I mean, San Francisco, if Debo's out there, you got George Kittle if he's going to be healthy enough to go back out there. Jawan Jennings, who had himself a game yesterday. Then you go look at Detroit. We know those receivers and such. So, I mean, Hafley's going to have to, do you want to play that zone where it kind of allows teams to maybe get the ball out quicker? I also think part of it has to be you have to dial up a little bit more blitzing, a little bit more pressure. He did a little bit yesterday, but maybe on a more consistent basis. Because it felt like he was staying with a 4 or 5 man pressure. And I think what happened, what kind of maybe, and I know Kenny Clark talked about it after the game yesterday, that they weren't, they were a little bit taken off guard about how many times Caleb Williams did run, that he did take off and run, that they did do some read options with him. I think him showcasing and utilizing his legs kind of threw a little bit off rails there a little bit. I just think a lot changes within that secondary when they lose one of their starters, when they lose one of their main guys. So when Jair went out, they adjusted, or they had to adjust. They changed things up. You got a guy out there like Jair, it allows you to do some more things. We saw it with Evan Williams too, right? When Evan Williams is out, well, Javon Bullard's got to go back to safety, and then you got to move a bunch of other pieces around. It almost feels like that secondary, when one of their main players is missing, that it has such a negative trickle-down effect to the rest of the group, where it doesn't allow, or maybe not allow, but it makes things more difficult on Green Bay. I just get that sense like Jair's out, or Evan Williams is out, or God forbid Xavier McKinney's out. It has such a weird trickle-down effect to where it just changes the complexity of the defense a little bit. And I felt like, Hafley, I'm sure they went into that thinking, hey, Chicago's missing their guards. We got to generate some pressure. Kenny Clark and the defensive line weren't able to take advantage of that. They weren't able to generate a lot of pressure up front. They were going to put some extra guys back in coverage. They didn't have a quarterback spy there initially, but they were going to put some guys back in coverage and maybe hope that Caleb Williams was going to make a mistake and try to confuse him a little bit, kind of like the Patriots did, although the Patriots were able to get 9 sacks on him last week. But it just felt like they came in with a game plan like, okay, we're going to make things more difficult. We're going to try to make things difficult on Caleb Williams by having those extra defenders in the secondary. They got DJ Moore, they've got Rome Odunze, they've got Keenan Allen. They probably wanted as many secondary players back there, thinking they could take advantage of the banged up offensive line, and Green Bay could have. And they could have. And then when they would bring in blitzers once in a while, you're still playing a little zone coverage there. If those blitzers aren't getting home, you're allowing those quick, short passes. Credit to Chicago. They were able to do the quick, short passing game to neutralize a lot of those extra blitzers. I just would have liked to have seen maybe Green Bay play a little bit more aggressive in the pass coverage. But I understand it to an extent too, where if they weren't comfortable with Carrington Valentine or Eric Stokes doing that, because it takes, you play a little aggressive, takes one, stutter go, and you potentially have a deep pass on there. I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit of a pick your poison type of thing yesterday. So, but got the win, right? I don't want to sound like too much of a negative person here, because I don't want to sound too spoiled. We got the win. We're 7-3, but this is a huge stretch coming up here for Green Bay. This is an opportunity, I think, in these next 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks. I'm going to say 4 because going to Seattle will be a little tough too. But I think these next 4 weeks, heck, New Orleans is even playing better right now. But these next 4 weeks, I think, will really showcase whether Green Bay is a championship caliber team. these are the next 4 weeks to kind of show themselves, show the rest of the NFL world out there that whether they're championship caliber or not. This is gut check time. The one thing too I want to see Green Bay be better at. Gosh, they looked soft a little bit yesterday. A lot of times on the defensive side. Just more than once. I want to see it a few times. I just want some physical hits. I'll go back to the Quay Walker thing. Like, the guy was there. He's got the speed to get to certain points. Now, there's other times too where he takes a wrong route or he gets completely juked up. But the times he was there, he hit the ball carrier, but the ball carrier pushed him back. And the ball carrier is able to pick up a couple extra yards. And I'm watching Leo Chanel, former Badger with the Chiefs. There was a couple times I'm watching that game against Buffalo. It's a handoff, and all of a sudden Leo Chanel just shows up and boom, knocks him down. Doesn't go forward. Running back doesn't go forward. Ball carrier doesn't go forward. Ball carrier goes straight down. And there was a couple times yesterday that if that would have just happened for Quay, like, you get to the hole, get the guy down. Here's a linebacker. Come in with that force and get that guy down. I want to see some tough man, tough boy football in these next few weeks. Not this soft stuff that we saw at times from the defensive side yesterday. I mean, that might have been Xavier McKinney's worst game as a Packer. For some of the talk he was doing during the week about DJ Moore, Xavier didn't have the greatest game. I want to see some aggressive, not over the top aggressive where you're going to get flagged and stupid like that. But I mean, gosh, I just want to see some power defensive football, especially in the front seven in these next few weeks, going up against San Francisco, going up against Miami, going up against Detroit. Detroit's going to bring. Detroit's going to bring it. They're going to bring some attitude to it, some tough football. I want to see that this week. I want to see these guys, these next few weeks. I want to see these guys play some intimidating style of defense, especially from the front seven. I just felt like yesterday, I was like, gosh, Chicago was even their offensive line getting out in blocks and that, it just felt like they were being a little bit, playing the physicality part of it more than what Green Bay was yesterday. And I want to see that physicality, especially in these coming games here. But to me, this will define, I think, whether Green Bay can showcase that they are a championship caliber team or not. How they do in this 4-game stretch against San Francisco, Miami, Detroit, and Seattle. 3 of the 4 conference games. When it comes to tie-breaking scenarios, those can be important to kind of watch here. These 3 out of 4, I think, obviously, I think the NFC ones, Detroit, San Francisco, and Seattle, probably mean a little bit more than Miami, but you do want to win your home games. But if you're thinking about tie-breaking scenarios when it gets to the playoffs and that, the conference ones are going to mean a little bit more. And that's the thing, too, when you look at this, Green Bay's got in their final, 7 games here? 2, 4, 6, 7. Final 7 games. Only 6 of the 7 are all conference. Just 1 is an AFC conference opponent. That's Miami. Again, that's going to factor in. That's going to matter when it gets to those tie-breaking scenarios in a very tight NFC conference right now. We got to take a quick break. We'll talk some more green and gold here. Plus, I know we talked some Badgers a little bit earlier, but we'll get back to some Badgers. Talk your thoughts on the Phil Longo firing. I don't think I've seen too many Badgers fans. Honestly, I don't think I've seen anybody who disagrees with the firing. In fact, maybe some Badgers fans saying, what took so long? Maybe thinking they want to change at quarterback next. Who knows? All right, we'll be right back. if you have a household full of kiddos or maybe some fur kiddos over there and your floors have been taking on some beatings over the years, whether it's been black marks, wear and tear, multiple different things, those floors can take a beating when you've got some active kids over there. But if it's time to upgrade that flooring, it's time to get some new ones in there. Look no further than Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. We don't want to stop our kiddos from having fun, but we also don't want to ruin our floor. So we want a floor that can handle that wear and tear, right? Well, maybe something like Rigid Max flooring that is only available at Carpet City Flooring Center. The entire team, though, are there to help you select the best floor that fits your needs. Fit your needs, functions the best, works the best within your budget, too. So what are you waiting for? You can get that new floor today from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. You know what? Take comfort in knowing that your new floor can handle those energetic kids. So you can run those pass patterns or practice your baseball indoors. Not talking from experience or anything like that. But all right, what else do we got over here? We've got yeah, okay. I was looking at a couple things here that came through my email, but Steve from Eau Claire says, I give Fickell one more year to get a worthwhile quarterback. If we don't start seeing some different results by this time next season, then I think we'll know for sure the problem wasn't just Longo. This is a big-time hire for Luke Fickell. There's no question about it. This is a hire that he's got to say, I think this is a hire that if he wants to save his job, he's got to nail this one. He's got to get this one right. I think he's got to go back to finding a game plan or an offensive attack that's featured around running. You can still, I know the new wave of offense and all that, but I feel like with even the new style of offense or the new wave, if you will, you could still focus on running the football. You could still do that, and I think Wisconsin still has to do that. But, yes, you do have to have the presence of a quarterback that if you are down and you got to throw to get back into it or throw to win, you got a quarterback that can do that without making mistakes, stupid mistakes, or missing some throws in that. You got to have a guy who is capable of playing the quarterback position. And I do wonder, does Luke Fickell, I think he knows too that his job might be on the line if he doesn't get this one right. Does that mean that he targets or tries to get somebody to fill that offensive coordinator position that he's familiar with, that maybe, it's kind of like a safe hire sort of thing? Or does he try to go outside his tree again, kind of like what he did with Phil Longo, and tries to maybe hit a home run? It'll be interesting to see who he tries to get or who are some of the reported candidates. I know we mentioned a few of them from Colton Bartholomew's piece on BadgerExtra.com. But we'll kind of see where it plays out. Cast a wide net, Luke. Cast a very, very wide net. And try to get the best player. Or best coach. I know we won't know the results of it until they actually get games going and that, but man, this is a big time hire for him. There's no question about it. And he's got to get it right. He's got to get it right. See, I feel like Tressel's going to be there next year. I think he's still going to be there next year, but we know Phil Longo's not. We know he's not going to be. Just a quick note, too. Bucks are back in action. I know we got a lot of football going on, even college hoops. We're all pumped up about, Badger basketball getting that win against Arizona and that. But the Bucks are back in action tonight. So you can check out that game. Coverage begins at 6:30. Tip time will be a little bit after 7. Catch that on the radio dials 105.1 FM and 790 AM as the Bucks will be taking on the Rockets. The Rockets. Bucks coming off that loss against Charlotte. So Bucks right now are 4-9 on the season, but actually just a half game back from being in the top 10 right now. Still we got a few more teams now that actually have winning records in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland's still undefeated at 15-0. Holy moly. Remember when offseason Cleveland fired their head coach and people were like, what are you doing? Dumb mistake, stupid. Well, they're off to a 15-0 start right now. Boston's 11-3, Orlando's 8-6, New York is 7-6. Those are your 4 teams in the Eastern Conference that have winning record. Golden State's back to the top spot in the Western Conference, just like the good old days over there. All right. Surveyor Sam also a little bit earlier said, good morning, DK. First off, that was an ugly win, but a win's a win against a team with their season on the line and a team that was throwing everything at you, and you still got the W. Also, congrats to UWC Women's Rugby. They beat UTSA 69-15 on Friday, and then beat Green Valley State 59-0 on Saturday. Have advanced to the national semifinal in 3 weeks. Congratulations, girls. Green Bay is going to be going up against another desperate team. Actually, I mean, the next 2 weeks, too, Green Bay is going to be going up against two desperate teams. And that's the other thing, too, that Green Bay has to counter for. They have to be prepared for that. You know, you could say, like they were saying it leading into Chicago, we're not overlooking Chicago. We're not overlooking Chicago. We're not overlooking Chicago. And I don't know if they did. I don't know if they, you know, I think there was just, you know, Chicago. We knew we're going to throw out some wrinkles. Green Bay looked a little soft, I mean, you know, you could tell Chicago in their home stadium wanted that win. They probably are sick and tired now of hearing that they've lost their last 11. They're sick and tired of it. So Green Bay handled a lot of punches, got a little lucky too. Sometimes you need a little luck in sports. But they got 2 more desperate teams coming into town now. Onto Green Bay's turf. You got San Francisco coming off of a loss against Seattle. 5-5. And they're only 1 back from their division. San Francisco's going to come in as a desperate team, but I think they're going to come in as a confident desperate team because of their success against Green Bay. But Green Bay's got to be ready for a heavyweight fight, for a big-time fight against San Francisco. I know they've got their issues. They absolutely got their issues. But you know they're going to come in and be like, okay, because you look at San Francisco's schedule, and I know they're going to preach, you know, game by game, week by week. But as for us, we can look at San Francisco's schedule, and they're in like they got to start winning here, even though that NFC West, that's what's saving them right now. But their schedule is pretty brutal coming up here because they got to travel to Green Bay this week. Then they got to travel to Buffalo. I mean, you're talking about 2 long road trips here for San Francisco in the next couple weeks. Then they're home against the Bears, which we'll see which version of the Bears they get. The Rams. Then they got to go to the Dolphins. Then the Lions come visit them, and then they finish up with the Cardinals. I mean, this is a brutal schedule for San Francisco coming up here. So they're looking at these games. They got to take it week by week, but you're going to get a tough test from San Francisco. And then on a short week, Miami, who's 4-6 right now, they're trying to get back into this playoff picture here. I mean, it's going to be pretty hard in their division with Buffalo to try to compete for the division here. But Miami right now is, if the playoffs started 9th, sitting there at 4-6. Indy's above them at 5-6. Denver currently holding on to that final playoff spot. But you look at Miami, they've got, you know, the Patriots this week. That should be, I would think, a winnable game for them. So they're potentially looking at that Green Bay game as a chance for them to get back to 500. They got the Jets. They should be able to take care of that. Texans will be a decent one. 49ers, then Browns and Jets. So Miami's going to look at this and be like, we got to put ourselves in a position to where the last couple weeks, we take care of our business, we control our destiny, and we get in. So can Green Bay handle 2 teams coming in that are going to be kind of maybe treating these like playoff games? The other part of this too is, you know, Green Bay's got to realize they don't have a whole lot of room for error either. Given, you know, if they still want to compete for a division, heck, even just the NFC overall and seedings wise, they don't have a whole lot of room for error either. just because of how everything is tight. It's close. You got a 7-3 team that's 6th in the playoff seedings right now. Washington 7-4, they're 7th. 1 or 2 games could change a lot of things in these standings. So, I mean, Green Bay doesn't have a lot of room for error at this point either. Especially when you look at the final 7 games, 6 of the 7 are NFC conference opponents. When you want to talk about strength of schedule, or excuse me, when you want to talk about strength of, tiebreakers, it's going to be important to win these conference games. Very important to win these conference games. So yeah, I'll be honest. I'm nervous for this game against San Francisco. I'm definitely nervous with them coming over to Lambeau. I don't know what the game plan is going to be. You know, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm at least looking at, okay, what did Detroit do offensively? What did Chicago do offensively? You know, what did these teams do against Jeff Hafley and his defense? What do they try to? I mean, they've got weapons that they can employ if they want to do a quick, shorter passing game. How does Jeff Hafley counter that? He's got to figure that out. And please, can we just get Eric Wilson playing some more snaps over Quay Walker? Or put Quay Walker as like a blitzer or something. If Quay Walker's more effective using his speed and his athleticism in blitzing the quarterback, get him out there for that. But he's struggling stopping a run right now. I got to save some of that for tomorrow's for Grind My Gear Tuesday. Okay, final break here. We got some picks and predicts. We'll pick the Bucks game. We got a Badger game. We got some other stuff that we're going to be pick. We're going to pick rookies of the year because those are going to be announced for Major League Baseball tonight. We'll be back in just a few minutes to wrap up Victory Monday. Then we're on to San Francisco. Are you hosting some family and friends for the holiday season this year? Hey, that can be pretty stressful trying to figure out what to prepare, who likes what to eat, and so on and so on. Well, you can take some of that stress off your plate by simply visiting Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Whether you will be tackling the cooking yourself or you need some help with preparing meals this holiday season, Hy-Vee can help you out in so many different ways. Whether you want to shop and save some money or you need help with some catering, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has you covered. Stop on in and get started today at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Starting to see some kind of numbers coming through here. I was kind of curious the amount of pressures that Green Bay was able to get on the Bears. Rashawn Gary led the way with 5. It looked like, was a total 14. Just froze up on me, but yeah, Rashawn Gary had 5 pressures. So here we go, 5 pressures. Enoch Barre had 3. Brenton Cox had 2. TJ Slayton had 2. Lucas Van Ness 1. Quay Walker 1. 8, 10, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, 14 pressures between those guys. So again, Rashawn Gary leading the way. I mean, he is our best defense. I still want to see him on the field more. I still want to see him on. And why? Why did Isaiah McDuffie have more snaps than Eric Wilson? I don't get it. I don't get it. Just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. I'm sure more like those Pro Football Focus grades are going to be coming out probably at any point this morning too. I always look at them just to kind of get a glimpse of what. Again, it's another tool, part of the toolbox over there, but just to kind of get a glimpse of how they grade them. I'm curious, like how they graded like Quay Walker in this one. He's a great box score player because he racks up tackles. But when you're watching a game and it's just like, huh? Or like what are you doing? So it kind of reminds me a little bit of some other linebackers back in the day. Maybe like a Blake Martinez and such, but or maybe AJ Hawk to a further extent. Great box score guy, racks up tackles, but is he a difference maker? Is he a difference maker? Not right now. No, he's not. Quay Walker is not a difference-making linebacker. And it's frustrating. Again, I think one of the most underrated units for this Packers team is total pressure, is the offensive line, because now I'm starting to see some of these numbers come through. Total pressures allowed versus Chicago. Rasheed Walker only gave up 1. Elton Jenkins gave up 2. Josh Myers only gave up 1. Sean Ryan only gave up 1. And Zach Tom gave up 2. Your 2 best offensive linemen actually were the 2 that gave up the most pressures. But this is a unit that doesn't give up sacks. And for what they've been able to do in the running game too, I think the Packers offensive line group as a whole has been very underrated so far this year. Okay. This is where I have the problem, because I just saw Quay Walker's Pro Football Focus grade. And this is the problem I have with Pro Football Focus, is that a lot of times their grades, and if anybody's watching the video stream, I'm like rubbing my head like, are you serious? A lot of times their grades just don't match the eye test. The famous one was a few years ago when Aaron Rodgers threw like 4 touchdown passes against the Chiefs, and they gave him an average grade or below average or some stupid thing like that. And I get it. They go through a lot of the stuff. I don't need to tell the story again how I tried to apply and just the amount of work that they go through. It's commendable. It is. But if you're telling me that Quay Walker was the 4th best defender in that game, and I get it, maybe the pickings were small, but they listed him. His grade wasn't great to begin with, was 62.6. Okay, 62.6, which they deem as average. But if you're telling me Quay Walker was the 4th best one, I've got some issues. Rashawn Gary had the highest grade, 79. According to Pro Football Focus, that's a high quality grade. Eric Wilson, in his very limited amount of snaps, very limited. This is going to tell you about these next 2. We said he played 18% of snaps. Second highest grade, 69.5, above average. Jair Alexander, who only played 10 snaps, 65.5, above average. So Quay Walker wasn't that far off from being an above average linebacker, above average player, excuse me. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's one of the issues I have with Pro Football Focus grades. It doesn't always just match up with the common sense stuff out there. You know what I mean? Offensively, the highest graded player was Christian Watson, 93. That's elite. Zach Tom, above average, 73.8. Jordan Love, 73.7. Jaden Reed, 73.6. Josh Jacobs, 71.5. Yikes. All right, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by our good friends from the Elbow Room. Got to imagine Garrett over there at the Elbow Room getting excited for his 49ers to take on the Packers this upcoming weekend here. But if you're looking for somewhere to catch the game, catch any of these games, any ball game, head on over to the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place. Elbow Room is also a partner of the Mobile Man Cave. We've got our final NFL game tonight. Houston taking on the Cowboys in the Battle of Texas. Give me the Texans. Give me the Texans in this one. Come on now. Cowboys are in a spiral downwards. Texans get back and get their 7th win of the season tonight. Let's do some NBA picks. We've got, we'll do Chicago at Detroit. I'm going to go Detroit in this one. Philly at Miami. Give me the Heat. Let's go Orlando at Phoenix. Orlando's actually favored by 3.5 in this one. I'm going to go Phoenix, though. Golden State at the Clippers. Give me Golden State. And then we've got Houston at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is favored by 3.5. Sounds like Dame is going to play. He's listed as probable yesterday on the injury report. Give me the Bucks to get the win tonight to get their 5th win of the season. Let's do some predictions now for Rookie of the Year, because this is the week that we're going to get some awards from the Baseball Writers Association. These are the ones that really stand out. These are the main ones here. And it starts tonight with Rookie of the Year. I am going to go National League. I'm going to go Paul Skeens. I think it's Paul Skeens or Jackson Merrill. Maybe Jackson Merrill gets it because he kind of came a little bit under the radar. I mean, Paul Skeens came in with a lot of hype, right? And he kind of lived up to it. Jackson Merrill played on a team that had some other good players over there too. Yeah, I'm still going to go Paul Skeens. I think he's got kind of the attention. He's got the momentum, and everybody knows who Paul Skeens is. I think that's going to help him in the vote. So I'll go Paul Skeens wins the National League, although I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jackson Merrill. I would be surprised if it is Jackson Cheerio, but I'm not going to be mad about it. American League, I'm going to go with Colton Cowser from Baltimore. Outfielder from Baltimore as the American League Rookie of the Year. Did I say MVP? Rookie of the Year. If I said MVP, I apologize. So Colton Cowser, Rookie of the Year for the American League. Paul Skeens, Rookie of the Year for National League. That's my predictions. Those are your picks and predicts. Again, brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire, next to the Banbury Place. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have RJ Cardinal on. Lots to catch up with him, right? Badger-wise, we got Badger football letting Oregon off the hook. Then the next day, they fire their offensive coordinator, Phil Longo. I'll ask RJ if he's got a certain maybe style of offense in mind or a coach in mind that he would like to see the Badger football team make a play for. Also, we'll talk some hoops with that big-time win against Arizona on Friday. Badger basketball is also back in action tonight against Texas Rio Grande Valley. I'll go Badgers, by the way, in this one. That's at the Kohl Center. They better win this one. Otherwise, that Arizona win's like, meh. But we'll talk some hockey too. Men's hockey with a couple of big wins over 18th ranked Penn State. So we got that. We'll talk some volleyball, talk some women's volleyball. A lot of Badger stuff to catch up on with Mr. Cardinal coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow is also a Grind My Gears Tuesday. Why do I got the feeling we're going to have a very active Grind My Gears Tuesday after a Victory Monday? I got that sense that we're going to get that. So think about it for a little bit, and you can start to hit me up with those texts of what's grinding your gears. And ASAP Used Auto Parts, Grind My Gears Tuesday. So think about that for a hot minute, and we'll jump into it tomorrow. So, and then hopefully we're talking about a Bucks win. Here. Oh, just seeing that the Packers Hall of Fame will induct Mark Murphy at their 2025 Hall of Fame induction banquet. So it's part of his retirement. Getting him in before I'll be right after he retires. It'll be August 28th, 2025. So they always change the dates around there a little bit. But all right, that just popped up on my news feed there. Have a good rest of your Victory Monday. I know it was an ugly loss or an ugly win. There was a lot of issues, a lot of stuff not happy about. But the overall message, it was a W. It was a W against the Bears, okay? 7-3. We got plenty of time to try to figure out what else is wrong with this team. Enjoy the rest of Victory Monday. We'll be back at it tomorrow.